going to apply for a flavor. Cynthia and I came early before the show taping so that we can chat about the industry updates, all that kind of stuff before we get into the deep and heavy on the other topic. I wanted to talk about working from anywhere because Stacy is in Mexico.
We miss you, Stacy.
She's
we
on her
only
way.
hate you a little bit.
And I'm hoping that she did a little bit of work, but I'm also hoping for her sake that she didn't.
I hope she just enjoyed herself.
Yeah.
She was due a break. So.
There was a lot of pictures. You see the one though? She was on a swing. That was so funny.
Oh, I haven't been on social media.
Well, because she didn't post it. She tagged Flying for Flavor, but she posted on her own page.
Oh, I saw something about that.
She goes, and I'm on in Mexico, and I'm on a swing.
She's going back and forth. That's awesome.
She makes the best posts.
I love her.
I'm thinking about how much, and she kept texting me about whatever wine she's drinking. Anyways.
Well, at one point, yeah, we were talking about tequila as well too, and she messaged me, what is the plastic glass wine? So was it like actually a wine that she's talking about, or she's happy it was in a plastic glass?
I think so. She just knows that she's having wine in a plastic glass. Means she's on vacation. Because where else do you get that, right? Anyways, we are here at P&M's Cuisine in Sudbury. This is another location that's going to be doing our Flavor Fest.
Flavor Fest. It was a Sudbury institution. P&M's.
I know. So P&M's used to be Pat and Mario's for many, many years, and there's still people here that still call it P&M's.
Yeah.
We're working with a train with a new 2-camera thing, so I'm going to look
over
here,
there,
and I'm gonna
over
look
there.
Over. Just because if we have other people joining us after, I want to make sure I got everybody in there. So, P&M's, by coincidence, is also launching a really big fundraising campaign the month of March. So our opening weekend, yes, this is purple. So our opening weekend is the same as, or our weekend of festival is the same weekend their opening weekend is.
Cool.
So it just kind of worked out well, just even for their sake. They didn't have to do something separate. So their cool thing is that they are doing an entire month of promotions for epilepsy awareness. And the color for epilepsy fundraising is purple. So they don't just wear like purple ribbons and purple whatever. They actually do like a purple menu. They feature purple cocktails.
I'm excited.
Everything's purple, which is so much fun. And then the actual date of epilepsy awareness, I can't remember. Someone told me, I think it might be March 26th. Don't quote me on that. But whatever that day is, even the staff are wearing purple.
That's cool.
But they do some purple decor. Like everything in here is purple. It's actually very, very cool. And because we're here in Northern Ontario, a lot of the purple stuff ends up being blueberry. They do a lot of blueberry, blackberry, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. So you get a lot of cool dishes. I don't want to give it away. I'll have to see the menu later.
We'll come see.
Anyways, so this is another venue that we wanted to feature, and it's a great place for wine and apps, which we're having today. So if you ever get to be here at P&M's Cuisina, we highly recommend the truffle parmesan fries, which are also okay with our California. Big shout out to Butternut Chardonnay.
So good.
So I'm gonna have to tag them on there. You can't always get it through the LCBO, but I'll see if I can find a link. If you happen to be down in the California area, actually follow them on Instagram. And if you're down in the States, you can get Butternut Chardonnay in cans, which is great. But
I have to say, as a red wine drinker, I don't like white wine typically. I have a hard time finding a white wine I like. And Steph's mentioned to me a few times, like when you go there, you need to ask for Norm's wine. They keep it downstairs, et cetera, et cetera. So we came to her, she's like, oh no, I'm ordering your wine for you. And this is fantastic because it's got that, like you say, like that full-bodied, buttery, it's not like I find white wines can be almost...
too acidic.
Yes, I'm thinking vinegary, but it's not right. But yeah, that acidic taste to it. So this doesn't have that. It's like a smoother.
I like the acidic part. That's me. But Norm tends to prefer it. I call it a red wine drinker's white wine.
Very much so. Right? I would definitely
big
concur with that.
mouthfeel, big flavor. Butternut is probably the best description for it too, which is perfect.
It totally is.
So for all you like the big California Chardonnay, you gotta find butternut. And they had it off the menu here for a little while, but I don't know if it was Norm's constant ordering it that it's now back on the menu here, which is great. But it's only available by the bottle, so you just have to make sure or remember that they do have the cork the bottle.
They do. They have recorking.
Licensing, yeah.
Excellent.
So if you don't want to finish the bottle and take it home, they will recork it for you to take it home, which is kind of handy.
Excellent.
So we thought before we get started, while I'm mentioning on this stuff, Cynthia was going through my Twitter feed and it has some industry updates for you.
Industry updates. Okay. Okay, so actually I found this one. This one is a bit of an industry update and a bit of a tip, but I thought it was really important to share. And this is I read it and I don't have it written down, but it was somebody gathered a bunch of industry professionals together. So front of house managers, owners, servers, and they ask them, what do you want your clients to know about sending food back? Because we've all been there, right? We've all had gotten a dish and gone, oh yeah, this is not going to work. When we went to the Niagara Wine Festival, we laughed because I ordered cooked oysters. So I've tried oysters. We've talked about this before. I've tried them raw. I've tried them with sauces.
She decided to try the chef's plate.
So I decided to try the chef's plate of oysters because I thought I've never tried cooked. So maybe I would like them cooked. And they were really cool because they were bacon wrapped and they had a buffalo sauce one. And I forget the third one right now. Oh, it was like a tempura oyster. So I ordered them and I tried them and I literally gagged at the table. It was really, really attractive, but I just couldn't eat them. And I tried to stomach them because I'm not a big fan of sending food back because I don't want anyone spitting in my next dish, or not that people do that, but some do. So I wasn't keen to, but I did end up speaking to the owner, who was very, very kind. He's like, no, if you don't like them, we're not going to make you eat them. We're not going to make you pay for them. I think they gave them to me half price or something like that, and they gave me free dessert. That's what it was. So when you're sending food back, the reality is restaurateurs want to know if you're not liking their food or if things aren't working for you.
Constructive feedback.
But there's a way to do it, right? So this is what this group of industry professionals said. So the first thing was be honest. Don't lie about it. Don't pretend you like it when it's clear you don't because your plate is full. Just be honest. You know what? This is really not working for me. That's step one. Step two, be specific. What is it you don't like about it? Because maybe the dish needs to be tweaked. Remember, I used to go to a restaurant all the time and I'd order their fresh soft pretzel with cheese sauce. But it tasted grainy. They did something funky, and so I said
the cheese sauce was?
The cheese sauce was.
That sounds like it overcooked.
Yeah, so I whenever I would send it back, I'd be like, you know what, I like the idea of it, but the cheese sauce is grainy. So I've been there recently, and I took a chance on it a couple years later, and it's not grainy anymore. So hopefully enough people shared that specific feedback, they were able to improve their recipe. Be confident, and in being confident, I'm gonna add my Cynthia tip, which is be kind. So you can apologize, but you don't, Canadians apologize for everything.
Sorry.
Right, I'm sorry, but I don't like this. But it's this idea that, you know what, this dish really isn't working and I do need to send it back. But be kind about it. And then finally, be mindful. If you find that you're sending like every dish from a meal back, maybe it's not the restaurant. Maybe it's you. So just something to keep in mind.
Or if it's happening to you at more than one restaurant.
More than one restaurant again, and I've got some friends who've done it a few times, and I just go, I'm like, maybe you just don't like food. You know, or something along those lines.
Maybe you should start making dinner at home.
Maybe you should just stay home.
Maybe you should just drink.
Well, you know, that we're pretty good at too. Oh, there was another one that I was reading earlier today that was really interesting as well, and it was around food drivers. So here in Sudbury, we've got Uber Eats, we've got Skip the Dishes, we've had a couple of others. There was a local one for a while that we had, Waiter, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. They were doing
they didn't get off the ground. They started and then they had all the preamble and then it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's bad.
So anyway, Skip the Dishes, I'll be honest, is my best friend. Working remotely, working from home, which is cool because we are working remotely today. I don't get to go for lunch like everyone does, right? You know what I mean? So it's like whatever I've got in the fridge, or if I happen to pre-make something. So every once in a while I'm like, I just want a lunch out, but I have a half-hour lunch, so I don't have time, so I use Skip the Dishes quite a bit. And I'm not picking on Skip the Dishes here, but this is, so last year, new government legislation was passed in the States where restaurant owners and managers can't pocket employees' tips, full stop. And we've heard that's a common practice, that when you tip your servers, that they're tipping out a certain...
You even have to mention it.
A certain amount is going back to the house. So in the States, that's no longer legal. However, NBC News published a report suggesting that both restaurant delivery provider DoorDash and grocery delivery company Instacart were using some possibly suspect math in calculating how online tips were factored into employee pay. So to put it simply, workers for both companies allege that the promise of their minimum pay is misleading because tips were taken into account as to whether or not they were reaching their minimum pay. This is the issue. So, for example, in Ontario, it's just under $15, 14 something is what minimum wage is here for an employee. And so what they were doing is, instead of topping up their wages or making sure they were getting paid enough, they were factoring in their tips before ensuring that they were making equal pay, which is not cool, or making their minimum pay. So the math, to give you kind of more of a specific, if a $10 minimum is guaranteed to the driver, but the job is worth only $7, but they got a $5 tip, the driver would still get only $12 instead of $15. So if they're guaranteed a $10 amount for that job, but the total for the order only amounted to $7, they were like, oh well, your tip covered it, so we're only going to pay you this.
Yeah, so that's called capping. No, the fact that they actually, sorry, I just got mesmerized. I think she's got a pina colada over there. This is really bad.
We're looking at the cocktails at the next table. There's no ADD in this crowd.
She was talking about her. She's talking about the industry updates, and I'm thinking, like, while she's talking, I'm looking around. I can't find my napkin. I don't know what happened to it. So I went and unrolled another one. So I'm trying to be quiet with that. And then I looked up, started listening to you, and all I could see behind you was the pina colada. I'm like, oh.
So, Steph, we're talking about industry updates right now.
Sorry.
We're talking about these poor delivery people who are working hard to drive through sleet and snow and whatever, and they're getting stiffed. So, so those two companies that I did mention, I shouldn't completely slog them because it looks like they're making some change. I just lost my screen. They're making some changes in results of the report. We're constantly reviewing. So from Instacart, we're constantly reviewing and evaluating feedback from our shopper community to ensure they're competitively compensated for the work they're doing on behalf of our customers. While our national average shopper earnings is at more than $15 per hour worked, which is really unusual in the States, we've introduced a minimum order payment from Instacart to prevent some of the extreme cases we've seen recently. DoorDash had simply said that their model has increased Dasher satisfaction. So at the end of the day, it's about making sure that people are paid fairly. And it's nice to see that people are being held accountable and that when they're being called out, they're actually responding. So, so at this point, as far as I'm concerned, make sure you're tipping your DoorDashers as well too, or your delivery folks, because
I have a little tip for that. For the tip, pay them cash. That might alleviate some of the problem because then the employer is not necessarily holding back the tips. It's more difficult to take money away from a driver, right, to do the calculations as opposed to. If I have the cash, even when we have pizza delivery at home, I tend to, if we have cash, we pay cash. So this way we can give them cash for the bill plus more than, like, add the tip into that way. We usually prefer to do it that way. Only because we don't have to worry about the machines and all the other kind of stuff. But this way, I feel like we're giving them the money.
I almost feel like at bare minimum, like just have like an envelope of $5s at home to make sure you're tipping people.
Sorry.
Because I never have cash.
I never have cash. I think I have like a little dish of like quarters and stuff kicking around someplace from like back in the day when I used to have a till that I used to take with me for all the catering and bar jobs. So I had like a float. And I think, and I found it the other day, like my little gray cash box, it was like full of like quarters and dimes. It was like, what?
That's like, woohoo, it's like winning the lottery.
You know, except for the fact I'm thinking, parking meters have nothing on me now. Because I've been living with parking meters lately.
I just found in every winter coat I put on this winter, everyone's had between $5 and $20. It's been like, oh, win, look, there's money from last year. It's amazing.
I just got, and what did I get?
Quarters.
Quarters.
For like $100 in quarters, so lots of quarters.
Lots of quarters.
Okay. And now, what would our industry updates be without Cynthia's now new weekly segment of What the Actual Fuck? Okay, this one's a good one. So, and it's so funny because Steph and I share links on Twitter back and forth about industry updates and what do we find. And so I was going through the feed.
I'm sending her down the Twitter rabbit hole because hasn't been spending a lot of time on Twitter.
Well, Twitter's a time suck, and when I lived overseas, I spent a lot of time on Twitter. I was one of the early adopters of Twitter back in like 2007 or something. Anyways, and then I found like I was on Twitter all the time, so I just don't anymore. It's like, is that again the rabbit hole that we talk about? And yeah, so anyways, so let me tell you about this because this was I literally went through it. I was like, what the actual fuck? As I was going through.
She's going through my feed.
Okay, so Lunar New Year is here this week. February 5th is the Lunar New Year.
Year of the Pig, people.
Year of the Pig, which means eat all the bacon and pork loin you can.
So for those of you who are on Gen Xers, born 1971, my husband's a pig. Last year was Year of the Dog, and I didn't realize it until the year was over. I was too busy.
You know what? I'm pretty sure Caleb was born Year of the Dog, and his nickname is Puppy. And
yeah, I'm Year of the Dog.
I'm Year of the Rabbit, which says all kinds of things.
Norm's Year of the Pig. I think Alex is my son. I think we already did the things. I think he was Year of the Snake, I believe. I'll have to double check, 1990. But yeah, anyways, this is Norm's year.
So,
go, honey.
If you would like to celebrate Year of the Pig, you can do so in Hangzhou, China, in a hot pot. Now let me explain. So what is a hot pot? So we talk about hot pot to go and you eat hot pot. What does that mean?
It's almost like a fondue with a broth in the center.
It's like a broth that's like boiling or whatever.
And people put things in it and you cook it and then you push them out and get some broth and you kind of eat. So it's a hot pot, shared.
So at the First World Hotel in Hangzhou, China, you can be in the hot pot. So this hotel is on a bunch of hot springs. They've got hot springs fed pools, and you can see in the photo that we'll share in the video, there's 9 squares, and each person kind of gets their own square in this hot springs, which is a really relaxing natural hot tub. What they've done is they've put the ingredients for hot pot in each of the squares. So they have chilies, and they've got vegetables and peppers and whatever, and you are literally the hot pot. And all I'm thinking is, are you expected to eat this? Are you not expected to eat this? Is this supposed to make like the water do something? It literally looks like a bunch of humans in a stew pot.
Now, do you think that's just like the promotional photo, or do you think there's actually people, are they doing it now that people, it's January or?
The way I understand it is it's a thing that you can do, that they're for like the month or the week or whatever. So I have so many questions for this First World Hotel. So that's as far as I got with the story, was seeing the promotion for it and the fact that this happens. But like we say, are you expected to eat the food? And in the pictures, you've got people cheersing with their wine. And I'm just like, but you're surrounded by chili peppers. Is that burning your body parts? Like, let's talk about it. Like when you go to when you're chopping chilies or whatever, you got to not touch certain sensitive body parts or you're doing some damage. So I don't know. So if you're looking for something different to do for the Lunar New Year this year, you can go to First World Hotel and be a human hot pot.
Or you can just eat like long life noodles like the rest of us. Okay, so here's our little new tradition. It's not quite related to the other one, but here's this week's Dining Do, presented by Legacy Service Academy for personal and professional learning.
Hi, my name is Sam from P&M Cuisina. Here is my dining do. What I would like to tell everybody to really improve your dining experience, don't be afraid to try new things, especially local restaurants. We bring in all sorts of different game, different types of meat, and there's really amazing chefs now in Sudbury from all around the world bringing in their flavors and customs. Don't be afraid to try all the new things.
Okay, so today we're talking about working from anywhere. And as you may see on our sharings, that Steph definitely works when she goes traveling, because she travels so much she'd never work otherwise. I myself, my day job, I'm a remote worker, so I actually do work from home. So I actually have the opportunity that if I'm going away with my family, for example, my son's dance competitions, I can still tune into meetings, I can still reply to emails and that kind of things while I'm on the road. But we want to talk a little bit about the logistics around what it looks like when you're working away from home and working from anywhere.
And if you have to do it, how to do it better so that you can combine that best of both worlds, of the unplugging and not unplugging, right?
I'd say my first advice to you is if you have the opportunity to do it, unplug everything, turn off your notifications from your email, turn it all off and disappear. But that's not logical and not necessarily...
I can't do it.
You can't, like some people don't have that ability to do it.
And I can understand that. Even if I had a classic,
not possible. That's what I'm looking for.
If I had a classic, like a regular, if I was working for someone else, where my work time wasn't dependent upon somebody else's instruction,
yeah,
I find I would probably be more willing to or wanting to shut things down because no, I get to take control back.
Yeah.
That would be a big thing for me. I think it's partly because when you're self-employed, you're usually self-employed because you want to be and you love what you're doing, right? It's very rare that anyone's forced you into being self-employed, right? So in a certain way, like if you're a business owner, you usually do love what you're doing or else you wouldn't be doing it. It might, yes and no to a regular salaried job. but I find that most of the people I know who are self-employed or in sales or something actually like
Well, and
their
the key
job.
is that a lot of people who are self-employed are solopreneurs.
Correct.
So there's no one else around.
That's the word I was thinking of today. I'm a solopreneur.
So exactly. So this
I don't have
is
staff anymore.
I've made the transition over the last 18 months from a solopreneur that I've got a small contract team who work for me in the summers when I need them. And I have someone who does my emails that I just pay her based on, like she does my inquiries. She doesn't do all my emails. I wish she did all my emails, but she's my inquiries.
I used to have someone like this who did my phones.
Yes.
I miss her. Hi, Jordan.
So, so there's something that I want to share for some solopreneurs who are looking to unplug. There are some organizations that actually offer virtual, and I won't get into full virtual assisting, but for example, we have a place here in Sudbury called The Workplace, Inc.
Yep.
And The Workplace, I actually can contract her to answer my phones, answer my emails while I'm not available.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. I have 2 glasses on the go.
So, like I have someone from Workplace Inc. who replies to all of my inquiries, and she gets everything started, logs it all for me. So that's one thing I don't have to deal with. But in the last, like I said, in the last 18 months, I've moved from a solopreneur to having a few folks who do work for me, but very sporadically. But I do have one now who also, when I was away the last time when I went to Australia, she took care of any immediate client issues. So I actually did. This was the first time, and I've had my business for 7 years. This is the first time in 7 years I've been able to unplug and literally not look at my business for 2 weeks, which has never happened. So if that's something that you want to do, there are services out there that you can hire, whether it's a virtual assistant, whether it's someone like the
Norm's had virtual
Workplace.
assistants a few times. He actually, he did really well in it.
Yeah, and the only reason I haven't gone virtual assistant, quite frankly, is that Max, who owns the Workplace, does work for me as well. So she's somewhat familiar with the industry, so she's doing some stuff for me in that regard to help me unplug. But that wasn't always a reality, and that wasn't always an option that I had available to me. So who do you tell? Do you tell all your vendor contacts that you work with? Do you tell all your colleagues that you work with? Do you tell your clients that I'm going to disappear? In some industries, it's fine to say to your clients, I'm disappearing for a week or 2, I'll see you in a bit. I'm a wedding planner. I can't do that to my clients. Now, I did let my clients know that I was leaving, but I also said, I do have Melanie here. If anything comes up, just text me and I'll forward it to Melanie and she'll take care of it for you. So you need to decide who you're going to tell and how. Some people will use just an out-of-office notification on their email that just, if someone happens to email them like, sorry, I'm out of office, I'll see you in a week or so. Other people will actually get in contact with them personally, whether it's sending a personal email, posting something on social media, or a phone call, depending on the type of service that you offer. But if you are going to disappear, you do want to let your clients know. Fair to say?
Yes,
Disappear versus working from away. If you're going away and you plan to not be unavailable, then that's fine. In my case, I was from a different time zone, so I was never going to be available when they were
You have a
awake.
different style of business than I do. All of my stuff, inquiries are always last minute.
Yeah.
Someone's calling to book a private class or speaking engagement or something with me. So they're never something that's immediate that I need it today.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the last time I've ever put an out-of-office reply or had changed my voicemail so that it would change. It's been the same voicemail for how long? It's just that you've reached the phone number of this business, this business, this business, this business, and no one's available to take your call right now. I used to have somebody that was doing a lot of my phone calls and email returns and that kind of stuff, and trained her so well, she's gone on to bigger and better things, but I didn't seem a race to go and do something new since then. So I've been kind of, I just don't bother with it because I'm able to check email, voicemail, that kind of stuff while I'm away anyways, and onto the phone. So there's been no real reason, because it's just me anyways. I am my own office. So as long as I can access that, and most of the things again are not overly critical. Like if someone freaks out at me because they can't, they don't have an answer to me right yet if I'm available June 15th. I'm sorry, you can wait like till tomorrow. It's not that big of a deal. So as much as I want to be on top of all that stuff, I feel that I can always wait a day or so, and then those that I think that I really need to get back to or whatever, I will. But I can control that.
Well, I think at the end of the day, your business. I deal with wedding clients, it's a little bit more immediate. Again, when someone's looking to get into a class next month, it's a bit of a different thing.
Correct.
So it's your business and you know what you need to do. And most email, clients have some way to set an out of office. Most voicemails give you the option that you can change your voicemail.
So has to be a balance between work and play. And even I, the workaholic, tend to kind of structure myself based on how I work best. And I am very lucky that my workaholic / self-employed husband has the same schedule that I do. We are both morning people, meaning that we both we have a sleeping schedule. We both like to get up early. We both like to go to bed the same time. That's just how we are. We're on that same daily schedule. So for the two of us to get work done, we have a whole process which I'll describe a little bit later, but I know that I work best in the morning, so I kind of do most of my work stuff in the morning. I will do a little bit more throughout the first part of the day, and then by the afternoon, my brain starts shutting down, meaning I'm not focusing anymore anyways. Anyone I needed to reach, I've already answered them, so I'm focused on getting those margaritas in, falling asleep in the sun. My favorite thing to do in the entire world is fall asleep in the sun.
I can testify that Steph sends her emails when she's on vacation at like 6 a.m. because the pings start waking me up. I don't need an alarm when Steph's away because I'm getting all the pings at 6 a.m. going, oh, I thought of this,
and I keep forgetting that we share calendars and stuff, so sometimes I'm actually like booking things like way ahead and forgot it shows up on their calendars as well. But I do my best first thing in the morning, and then I'm fresh and I got coffee and everything's ready to go. And usually I'm in a place that has really good coffee. But then by the end of late afternoon, I'm not functioning anymore, and I want to be, or it's too hot by then if I'm in a hot destination. So I want to be in a pool on the beach, enjoying where I am, going out on a tour, sitting in a cafe someplace, and then so the rest of the day I kind of shut down.
To relax.
And we always go to bed early. We are not night owls. We're not the ones who are partying until 2 in the morning. That is not us. It's very rare. Like once during our trip that we'll actually do that.
We went to the Dominican. We did not see the nightlife in one night.
No. So especially being out in the sunlight all that time, I don't do well with that. So we end up going we'll have a late, long, leisurely dinner because I usually make friends with all the staff. So usually it's just a longer dinner experience. I may have an after dinner drink if I'm feeling okay, and then I'll move to after dinner drink. The last trip when I was in St. Lucia, I was drinking St. Lucian rum, sitting on my balcony. That was my little nightcap by myself, kind of watching and listening all the hustle and bustle going down below, and then I would kind of, hate to say it, check my Twitter feed and watch and I go to bed. But that was a relaxing time for me, that same schedule, and then I did exactly the same thing for the rest of the week. And it kind of made me, I don't feel guilty shutting down in the afternoon because I did all the work stuff in the morning. And then I don't regret I didn't get back to this person immediately because they messaged me twice that afternoon. Yeah. Do not feel guilty, they can get it the next morning.
Because you can do it the next morning.
Yeah, it's just my way of doing a little bit of balance.
Something else that I do as well with my clients, and that's just, again, because I'm working with wedding clients, and sometimes things are quite, might be more, so my issue with wedding clients is that their issues might be more pressing to themselves than to maybe the rest of the world, or than they actually really are, and I say that with all the love and respect. But I actually have set expectations with my clients that my texts have up to 24 hours, my emails have up to 72 hours, so that they know they're not expecting an immediate response, which gives me that freedom as well to not necessarily respond to them in that moment right that second. And I know they can wait till the morning. But something else that I have to juggle that you don't have to anymore is the family. Oftentimes, especially when I'm looking at traveling for my son's competitions.
I don't hear from my son anymore.
Damn 20-somethings. Although we're getting there. Mine is 16 with the girlfriend, and it's a whole new world. But like specifically when I travel with my son for dance, and I'm definitely still working from wherever I am because it's not a vacation. There's nothing vacationing at all about being a dance mom. But then it's about balancing the needs of what's happening with the kids with what I need to do for work as well too. And a lot of that comes to whether it's scheduling it like you do, where you've got like the morning is set for certain things. I am not a morning person, so that's pretty much not happening in my world. But I have the opposite thing. So if my son is in competition, he's got to be with his team an hour and a half before. So instead of me having like a 4-hour block or a 3-hour block, I get an hour here, an hour there. So what I have to do is I have to make sure I know that for this hour, this is what I'm working on. For this, it's more like time blocking. Yep. I know that this hour I need to tackle this hour I need to tackle that. Or if we travel with both of our kids on a family vacation, my kids love kids club. Not anymore, they're older now. Yep. Let me rephrase that, but up until like 12, 13.
Alex never went to kids club.
They loved kids club, and there's usually a fee involved, but the kids get a holiday, we get a holiday. So if my husband wants to go and do his things, my husband is not self-employed, but that would give me a few hours to get some work stuff done while the kids are off and being entertained, and quite frankly having a much better time. We went to the same resort quite a bit when we lived in Australia. It was called Twin Waters in Maroochydore in Sunshine Coast. And the kids knew the bunny by name. They go back to the kids club every time. They're like, oh my God, we got to see the bunny. We got to do this with it this time. We dyed it with Kool-Aid or whatever it is that they did. So sometimes there are some really great activities you can do to keep the kids busy so you can get a little bit of work done as well.
So I figured it was probably a perfect time to do this episode because I'm going away this weekend. And I need to bring work with me and kind of organize things. So I figure if I talk things through, then maybe you can get some tips on how to organize yourself if you are self-employed or in sales, write a blog, have another project that you're working on, or if you just are allowed to take work home with you and take it on the road to work on specific things. I have a couple little handy things that I'm usually thinking about in this process. So I thought I would sit here while I'm actually getting ready to go and share with you some of my thoughts. So I have a new MacBook that I bought specifically when we started doing the video editing, mostly because it's bad enough that sound files take up such a big amount of room, so do video files. And my poor little beat up MacBook that I've had for so long just could not handle it. Some of the software that's required, not to mention it would freeze and that kind of thing. However, I never got rid of it. So a lot of people tend to, they upgrade to a new phone or a new laptop or a new iPad, and they either discard, sell on Kijiji, give away, they don't really keep it. And as much as I am trying desperately this year to kind of cut back on the stuff that's here, minimize our stuff that we're surrounded with in our home, my life, my closet, all that kind of thing. One of the things that I am always keeping is things like technology, and partly because for travel purposes, it's so handy and a little bit more relaxing knowing that some of my expensive stuff is not going to get damaged, stolen, or lost. So I have the new one. The old one is what I take with me when I don't need to do video or audio editing, but I have a lot of other work to do. I do have a snap-on, cover with a keyboard for my iPad. So I tried a couple of times to bring that with me if I had to type up things, but even doing website updates like on WordPress or something, a lot of the functionality that I get with a standard MacBook interface was different than what it gets to be on the iPad. So I was finding that, I didn't have access to the same kind of fonts and changes and procedures that I did when I was working on a MacBook. So now if I have work to do besides just general writing, where I'm doing website updates and working on graphics or other things that are just, internet-based programs or apps, that's when I can use the old MacBook. The iPad only kind of comes with me now for those getaways where I'm basically going to be doing a lot of downtime. I'm just going away for a weekend, like this weekend would be. So it would be for downloading movies. Netflix does downloads now, so yay. Or anything else from iTunes or things that I don't want to miss on the weekend. And then I also have a magazine app that I can download magazines and other things to read, like ebooks and stuff whenever I need to. So those have been really helpful to me, so they don't have to bring it. And with that Snap-on case, if I need to check some emails, send a couple of messages, do some social media posts, I can still get away with it just for the iPad. However, I said I'm finding that the old laptop, now that I've cleaned everything off of it and all the software I don't need anymore, it's actually doing the trick, which has been great. So it gets a new life after all. So it's my travel computer. And then I can leave this heavier duty one for here at the office for when I get back. But part of the issue is because, of course, we do a weekly show, I have to get the editing and stuff done on this thing before I leave. So when you're watching this, who knows what day you're watching this on, but when you're taping this, this is a Wednesday night and I'm leaving Thursday morning. So our show is going up on Saturday. So if I don't want to take this with me, I have tonight to finish the editing, tomorrow, and at least get everything edited and uploaded to the hosting sites just for the time being. And this way I'll have a chance to access it with my old laptop to do the online stuff, just to add in the descriptions for the podcast, put the links for the show notes, add any extra little details to the show notes that I want to do over the next couple of days. I want to write a blog post talking about those packing checklists, so that you have something to kind of work on of what kind of things that you really should be taking with you or invest in. So I wanted to do all of that, but that can be done on the other one. It doesn't have to be done on this. So that's kind of how I organize that. And then I go through my to-do list, and I think Cynthia put it best when she said, you need to figure out what your have-to-dos and your want-to-dos are. And it's like that needs versus wants idea. And I really love that comment, because my thought is, I need to get the podcast done because that's a time commitment. So anything that's time related that has to get done, those are my priorities. If there's other things that can get done, I consider those just bonuses, especially when I'm only going away for 3 or 4 days. If I can get everything done that has to get done before I leave, then I can actually relax and enjoy myself. And then the work that I am squeezing in here and there, early mornings and coffee before we go out for the day, or late in the evening before we go out for dinner, I can check on email and doing all that kind of thing then. And it doesn't feel then that I'm really letting work take over my vacation time. So those are my little tips.
Okay. I am a technology geek. Not that I'm an early adopter, because that's actually a terminology. I am not the person that's always got the best and brightest things. However, I have a lot of stuff.
Yes, she does. Every time we get together for a podcast, she's got another new toy.
It's not just a new toy. It's something else to make my life easier in the long run is basically what I'm looking at. So there are a lot of things, and I'm really getting good at, because I spend a lot of my time doing video and audio editing. A lot of my our promotions and things that we're doing, not just for Like the Flavor, but for Flavor Fest, and then my own business, like the Service Academy. There's always a lot of graphics, there's a lot of photos, there's a lot of short videos, there's a lot of those kind of things, and that's what I'm trying to combine into one thing. And it's and I need to have it with me to do a lot of this stuff. I can't survive just on a notebook. So I've kind of weeded out what is absolute necessity for me. So there's been trips sometimes where I've had a fairly small suitcase, but I have just as big of a bag of my carry-on, and there's nothing but tech in that carry-on.
I have what I call this is my work bag. And so this bag, and usually my carry-on, has all my work stuff in it. So it's going to have my notebook, it's going to have a couple of pens, it's going to have my laptop.
Yep.
I usually choose between my laptop or my iPad, depending on how long I'm away. All my chargers, because of course you got to make sure you got chargers for different countries and different areas. But that one bag is what I restrict myself to, so that I still have my other bag for shopping.
Yeah, and that's where I've been finding that, similar to the bag that I use to bring all of our mobile studio with us, I have one that I use as like a carry-on, and because it's got big enough and it's got a couple of sections in it, I can actually use it not just for my tech stuff on one side, but it has another section on the second side that's got straps in it for clothing.
Yeah.
So I
have
can
one of those.
pack my, because you got to be prepared in case your regular luggage gets lost, because it sometimes happens. So I always pack enough things for 2 days, plus a bathing suit or whatever, in that carry-on with all my tech stuff. I can basically park myself by a beach and survive for 2 or 3 days with what's in that bag and get work done. So that's kind of how I pack, and then everything else that's in the other bag is after that stuff is used up, I can use this other stuff. And that's kind of how I've been packing for the last little while. But I'm finding that I'm learning what to take and what not to take, and a lot of time it has to do with what I've managed to get done before I left, my to-do list, and and then really being strict with myself on what I really have to get done while I'm gone.
Yeah, that's a big key as well too. So here's the thing, even though we're all like workaholics who want to do all the things, make sure you're balancing your time and you are taking the time to actually enjoy wherever you are. Even if you're, I mean, the last time I traveled for my husband's work, he was in a conference, and I made him take 2 days off. I went, we're going to take a couple of days, and we're just going to relax. We're just going to do a thing. Or like you said, if it's work in the morning and then afternoon, everything is fun after that. But make sure you're still finding that balance when you're on holiday. Otherwise, if you're not getting it, it's not worth it. Hey, Matt, welcome.
So I'm sure you just didn't want to hear about our little tips and tricks when it comes to working away from home or working away from a standard office. So we invited our friend, Amanda Zurkowski. She is the host of Eastlink TV's Lace 'Em Up here in Sudbury, and she's had plenty of experience with working from just about anywhere. So we thought we'd invite her for a drink and get her advice.
You do. Yeah, and I think that something that I've really, and this is new to me, is I love Robin Sharma. So I've been like doing a ton of research, listening to podcasts like crazy from Robin Sharma. And one of the things that he says is that if you don't take time away from what you're doing, how can you become next level? And that really resonated for me, because if you work, are you really getting your max results? When are you refueling? Because that's the other thing too, is he says, take a walk in nature every day. Do something outside. Do not bring your cell phone. Bring maybe a sheet of paper or a little notepad and a pencil. And I've started adopting this, and just even within the last week, I find my goals have gotten loftier, because creatively, I'm not attached to this. Because even when I take the dog for a walk, I'm doing this. Yeah, okay, because I'm so focused on what I'm doing, which is good to a degree, but not to another. So I find taking actually a step back probably results in greater productivity.
I know it does.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time.
It is incredibly tough, right? It is really hard, because when you put your heart and soul into something, whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing, it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're a doctor, I don't care what path you take. When you put your heart and soul into something, it's really hard to let it go, even if it's for a week, right? Because you think I'm letting everybody down. But when you don't take the break, the only person you're letting down is yourself.
And you're going to end up letting everyone down, because that's where it comes to burnout and breaking. And
absolutely.
And I also have to think, going back to when we were talking about that differentiation between somebody who's working for somebody else and someone who's working for yourself. And I think that's, I don't feel like I'm letting other people down. For me, it has to do with, now I have time to finally get to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Or those are usually my little projects that I like doing when I'm away. So, and I actually have like to-dos that don't necessarily have a deadline date or something that are in there, of things that, I've always wanted to go out and check out this website, or I've always wanted to, and I have that list of things, those kind of things to do, and those are the things that I tend to tackle while I'm away, because there's no deadline.
Not the have-to-dos.
Yeah, and I have too many have-to-dos. Like that. That's the hashtag have-to-do.
Yeah, nice to do versus has to do.
Yeah, I like that. And that's exactly where I'm kind of at right now, where I'm really starting to, it's like the want and needs, right?
Wants versus needs.
And I'm trying to differentiate that when I'm away.
Do you find when you have this like have-to-do list, that your have-to-do list is a mile long all the time?
Mm-hmm. I was just telling her about my Todoist thing. So I use Todoist, and yay for Todoist. But because I like the app, because it connects to all my things, and I like the fact that I can just mindlessly open it up and type in add mark to the Flying for Flavor calendar,
so he knows where his wife is.
So he knows where his wife is. Add mark to the Flying for Flavor calendar, and then I just wrote tomorrow. It automatically defaults and put it in tomorrow's to-do list.
Okay.
So there's a lot of cool things about it that I like, but I'm finding that also it's fairly intuitive, where now if I'm constantly saying move to tomorrow, now it's like, would you like to move it to Thursday?
Because moving it to tomorrow is not effective enough.
It's obviously not working, or it gives you a suggested when to move it to.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I'm finding I'm doing that more and more, like my list, and if you default to okay, put this for next week. Next week is whatever you define it as when you start the app, and I define mine as next Monday. So it defaults to next week. Well, every Monday, like, don't talk to me because I'm panicked because I'm thinking I have too many things. But that's just my own system, and a lot of times my to-dos aren't really to-dos. They're more like a wish list.
Things I would like to do.
Right? Like someone told me about this cool SEO thing that I need to look up, so I make a note of it. It's a to-do, but I don't need to do it tomorrow. Right? So there's a lot of that kind of thing that doesn't have a deadline, and I'm scared to leave it in a space with no date on it, because those are the things that get lost.
I find, like, for me, what I started doing, another Robin Sharma tool, I guess, is the 90-91 rule. So for the first 90 minutes of the next 90 days, focus on your single most important task. Tight bubble of focus, no phone, no technology, other than unless you need it in order to accomplish your highest priority.
So 90 days?
For the next 90 days, because after 90 days, it's going to be an automatic thing for you. That's just going to be, you form the habit.
So it can't be a project-oriented thing. It's got to be.
It could be something like
making my bed. Sorry, that's my New Year's resolution. Is that awful? I'm being completely honest about it. I was like so proud of myself. I had this
I never make my bed. I work on my bed.
Oh my God, see, and I don't. I was talking to a friend of mine who watches bathing. For me, I wanted it to be, there's some general in the States or whatever, or there's somebody famous in the States, one of his big sayings was that to create small accomplishments, that even if you do something like just making the bed at the beginning of the day, sets your tone of, I did something today.
Yes.
And that really hit me, where I thought, oh my God, like I get so caught up, and sometimes there's hours I'm still setting my pajamas working in my office, and 2 cups of coffee later and I'm still sitting there, and it's now like 12:30. I'm like, oh my God.
I was so proud of you yesterday when you're like, I'm wearing my sweater and my slippers. I'm like, I love you. I'm so proud of you right now.
Except for the fact that our local paper wanted an interview and a photograph that same day, and I was like, I need to shower.
That's okay, Steph. I'll send you. I'm still wearing the clothes I wore Saturday night.
And she laughed. She goes, so what, you don't want me there?
I'm like, you don't want me there because I don't look pretty.
I find it's tough to balance everything, right? Because our jobs are so busy. We're all on the go constantly.
We have kids.
Some days I honestly look at Jeff and I'm like, I don't know how I did it all today, but somehow it all got done. Like, just because either I was focused on what I needed to, or I used those like couple minutes here and there when I had a second, instead of scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on Instagram. And that's another part of it too, is that you try and have this social media presence because you need to in order to advertise your business.
Yeah.
But yet it's twofold, because it can be the biggest time waster. And it's easy to get caught up in that. Like for me with Lace 'Em Up, I have to advertise. I don't have time to advertise, but I have to do it if I want to grow the show, which is one of my huge lofty goals, is that I need to put myself out there. And I have to do that beyond work hours, because I can't be doing it while I'm supposed to be working. And that's where I find even at the grocery store, if I'm listening to like a podcast while I'm at the grocery store doing groceries, like I'm learning something, or like I find
your podcast when you're doing groceries. Wow, you're good.
Okay, ladies.
Yeah. Sorry.
So let's talk about. Well, we don't need to talk about it now. Maybe off camera. Let's talk about multitasking versus monotasking.
I know.
And the effectiveness of being functional at the same time.
That's like a whole other show. That's not.
I feel like we could do a whole show on this, like work-life balance, and how food, wine, and travel help us cope with our work-life balance, or lack thereof.
The fact that I was so intrigued with, she listens to podcasts while she's grocery shopping.
Yeah. Stop it.
It's like. So I did mention, a couple of key things. Here's my one big tip. Whether you're working or not, I would say to start investing in noise cancellation headphones. Whether it is earbuds, whether it's iPhone, because it's not just on the airplane as people think it is, because yes, I like that. But just like you wear those things so that people see earphones and then they stop talking to you, it sounds awful. It's the introvert in me, right? But the other
Walk
thing,
around with this and no one just talks to me at all.
I get it. Yeah. But when you're at a beach or a poolside,
Yeah.
having your earpods in, either listening to a podcast, or sometimes I've actually put that in the noise cancellation because I just need to focus for 2 seconds because I'm writing something out, and I'm finding that there's either some guy trying to kind of sell me something, waiter's coming over and asking me if I want a drink, Norm's like kind of giving me the look like it's time for lunch. So this is my mobile studio, I guess you would call it. Everything that we need to tape the show now when we're on the road basically consists in this rolling bag and the tripod that I'm taping this little clip on. And it all fits in this one little thing so that I can bring it myself. I don't have to do 10 trips back and forth to the vehicle. And so for anyone who is curious to find out what are some of the technology and gear stuff that we can do that we can kind of take this stuff on the road, you'll have to be in the VIP lounge to see it. So again, it's on the Facebook VIP lounge. You've heard of us talking about it before. You need an entry code for the month of February. It is beach. Now if you're watching this and it is after February, just check on any recent episode and get the entry code for that month, and then you can join us there. And I'll go through the bits and pieces of all the stuff that I bring along with us to each and every show. See you there.
Next week, we're talking about the world of food and cooking competitions.
Because there's a lot of people who not just maybe enter the occasional local one, but we even have 3 people just from Sudbury alone that I know personally who have been on MasterChef Canada, Chopped, Junior Chopped, what's the other one? MasterChef, Top Chef Canada. They've basically applied for all 3.
Does this mean I get to talk about Nailed It?
Yes, you can talk about Nailed It.
Oh my God, I love Nailed It. That is my show.
And I just can't get into it. I'm sorry. It's just not that funny to me. But there's and some of them, they get invited to, they keep going to all these other ones. So there's, I'm actually going to have interviews with all 3 of the people that I know for the next show, that we will add in a couple of little commentaries to help you, that if you ever dreamed of being on one of those shows, that's the show to watch, because they're going to actually walk you through some of the tips that they have to make sure that you always get picked.
And next week, right up until Flavor Fest weekend, we'll be showcasing a different venue or event from the festival to give you a sneak peek where we're going to be.
Yep. Next week we're going to be at La Fromagerie, which is one of the other Sudbury little hot spots. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. They're actually going to be launching our new, they're actually having a new brunch service.
I'm so excited.
I know. So they're doing a brunch, and they're actually launching it Flavor Fest weekend. So we're really excited about that. So we wanted to go there and maybe, hopefully we can chat with the owners and the staff about what things that they're really excited to. I got a couple hints the other day, but I'm not sharing. You have to listen to it next week. And then it is February, as you know, so for those of you who want to be in our VIP lounge, and especially here in Sudbury, you need to be, because Flavor Fest, we're actually going to be having a Flavor Fest. We're having a happy hour festival launch. So it wouldn't be a happy hour without us, right? So we're actually going to be having one, but to get the invite to get your seating in the VIP area, which is going to include wine, oysters, apps, closest to the DJ that we're bringing in, all that kind of fun stuff, you need to be in our VIP lounge to get those invites. So, of course, you need an entry code to enter the FFF VIP lounge. And the entry code this month is
beach! Because I want to go to the beach so bad.
Because we're trying to forget how much damn snow is outside.
So much snow, so much ice.
As soon as you try to join the lounge, all you have to do is click on the link. It's automatically going to say what is the entry code. You type it in, and one of us 3 will actually just authorize it, and then you're in the lounge. Not only do you get access to little events like that, we have a contest. So last month, and Conley was the winner of our Ice Wine Festival gift pack that we brought back. We're going to have another contest that we're going to be launching next week for next week's episode. And then besides that, you're going to have all kinds of other stuff that's happening. A lot of times I'm doing live feeds from wherever we are. A lot of times it's from my kitchen, so there'll be a particular recipe that's featured based on the episode that we're talking about.
If we're naughty and having drinks, that's where we do our live streams.
Sometimes the last recipe was hilarious. Did you see the demo? You don't see me personally, you just see my hands because I wasn't even dressed. It was just so funny. It was one of those things, it was a last minute thing and I really wanted to show the video, so all you see are my hands.
Is that the coffee pork loin one? Which my husband made this weekend and it was amazing.
Yeah, so that was the coffee show. So make sure you join the VIP lounge because we're always going to have, and then as the group gets bigger, we're going to have more giveaways, and then that would be the way for things like meetups and other invitations that we're going to do on the road. Because as soon as the snow goes away, we will be on the road because we just need to get out more.
Girls' weekends. We talk about balance. This is my balance. I get to hang out with my girlfriends once a week, drink wines, and talk food. It's amazing.
Yep.
In the meantime, please rate and subscribe us on iTunes or your favorite podcast player, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And it's so easy. My son was talking about it in the kitchen this weekend with his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's so cute.
He's like, oh my God, yes, if you haven't already, you need to subscribe. You need to click the red button. It's just below right here. There's a red button that says subscribe. Click the thumbs up for a like. It was amazing. So he was explaining to his girlfriend.
Even the kids could do it.
Yeah, they were all like, we got to make this happen. So, and on iTunes, I know that if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the list, you'll see the opportunity to rate us. 5 stars is great. 4 stars, tell us why. But either way, the more that we're rated,
don't get angry.
Yeah, we won't get angry. But we talked about earlier, which I was sending your food back. So if there's, if you got some feedback for our podcast, we'd like to hear it. Be kind about it, but we do want to hear it. If there's something you want to change, if my voice is too squeaky, or Amanda's too drunk today. No, Amanda's had one sip.
She's only had one sip on her beer so far. First time on her show, and she's like, man,
what have I walked into? Excellent. Okay.
So if there's any other show ideas, guests that you want to recommend to us, I think that is a good opportunity for you to kind of send us an email right away or comment on any of our social media channels, because we'd love to hear from you, and it gives us an excuse to go on the road. And we always like going on the road, right?
Excellent.
So for all of you who work on your vacay or unplug on your vacay, we are with you either way. As long as you're traveling, we don't care. So cheers.
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 Thanks so much for watching this video. We love putting it together. It's so much fun. All of our favorite things, good food, good drinks, a lot of travel talk, and we put it all together in one fun show. So make sure you follow us here, click on the videos below, follow, subscribe, and find us on your favorite podcast player. We'll see you on our next trip.